Okay, so I have a Sears Craftsman Contractor Series 3 horsepower table saw, and I'm totally sick and tired of all the dust, all the sawdust from the jigs and everything. So what I'm going to do is show you how I go about putting in way better dust extraction. I've taken off the wings because I don't need them for what I do. But what I did using this, for some reason inside here these were bent up, and this one here, so I just used these to bend them downwards, so I can bend back up again, but so they're down. So this just leaves this edge and far one end just here as a pretty flat surface. So what I did then was measure inside on the X and Y, and I got this measure. It's 15 1/8 inches this way and 19 inches this way. So I'm going to have to cut a piece of plywood, square plywood, that big, and then I'm going to chop it in half like this. And you chop it in half because you can't fit a full-size piece of plywood in there, but chopping it in half also helps later down the road, which you'll see. So next section. So I was going to use some 3/4 inch plywood, but I found these old sort of door things that I had, so I'm just going to use them. I don't actually know what they're made out of, but they have this bevel, so I'll chop those off and then see what dimensions we have. It's going to be big enough, but yeah, this is super stiff and stable, so this is going to be good. It saves me cutting up my nice plywood scraps. They're the best. Okay, measuring 19 inches. Actually, I'll have to do it. Yeah. And 15 1/8. And that is, man, I don't even have to mark it, it's literally on this edge. That's a bit of luck. Okay, more cutting. So because my bandsaw is much thinner kerf than my table saw, I'm just going to find out where the halfway point is. It was 15.25, so that's 7.5 and halfway between the 8th, and I just check that. Yeah, close enough. It doesn't actually matter too much, just because we're sawing this in half, and if one side is not exactly half of the other, it doesn't matter. And then a center line. The other thing I'm going to do is just go from corner to corner, just to find out where the center point of this is. Okay. So I wanted that because this is what we're going to be putting on it. But on the underside. So now to bandsaw. Okay, just a test fit. Put the right side in first. Right side looking from the back. And then slide this in here. And the fit is good. Sorry about the awkward filming. It turns out they could have been a touch longer. You might be able to see that little gap just there, so they could be maybe an 1/8 inch longer or something, but it doesn't matter. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out a hole out of here in the center to match that hole. Okay, so I don't think there's too many considerations here. This line isn't perfect, it's a little bit wavy, so if I move it, there's gaps, which is just how bandsaws are. So just mark, each end. This will actually be going on the bottom of this, but I will be just making that mark. The hole itself could actually be way bigger, this big, which I might do actually. Why not? Mark this and then come in from that about 1.25 inches. Let's call it 1 inch and 1, 2, 3 eighths. Is So this is a good table saw. I bought it off some Mennonites when I first got to America for about $100, I think, and I've been using it for 7 years. And I still have to kind of count out the eighths because I'm better at mills, but you know, what do you have? This doesn't have to be exact. And this material is 5/8, so it's really strong. So even though I'm going to cut out this large pocket, it's still going to be strong. And then when I insert this, I'll put some silicone around here and blob down this and then screw it down. And then I will use some scrap, whatever, and on the underside I'll just put some ties just across this, or probably this way. Actually, I'll take it up to there. So I don't get confused, because there's a lot of lines on here now. I'm cutting this. Easy to understand. Okay, so what I want to do is pre-drill everything, because once I get under there, it's going to be a pain in the nuts to drill everything. So I'm just going to see where I need to put these ties. So I've put one of these sides in, and I just have to mark these parts. Because see that this area is interrupted, so I have to just come in, you know, bit in from that, and the same for this side. So there's going to be 4 bolts somewhere around here in each corner. So after I do this, then I can place it and drill for the bolts and bolt it all in, and then we'll be about halfway there. So I'm just going to make the ties just out of this stuff. Could be any, I mean it could go this way. Actually I'll do that. I'll chop this in half. Wait, this isn't going to work. This will have to go on the inside because the black thingamajiggy is going on this side. But I can put little ties just on the edge here, as long as they're thinner than this, which this stuff is just. So I will do that. So I'll put some just some small ties here, about this big, and then on the upper face I'll put some kind of thing here. Actually they can go all the way here, and it's not important if there's some interference here, but this will make sense once I do it. Okay, so I just drilled 1 in each corner and 2 on either side of the gap. I just wanted to show you what it's going to look like from the inside. So, nowhere for dust to go. I mean, dust can settle here a little bit, but I'm not worried about that. The exhaust is going to be pretty strong. So I won't be able to silicone this until I put these in and bolt them down. But yeah, that's enough. Oh, the other thing I was going to say. So that's the orientation. I might put this label for label. So I've got this much space for just for a tie. So I'm going to put it just here, and on the corresponding side, which is about, I'm not going to try and get it perfect, about 1.5 inches. Actually no, about 1.25 inches. By whatever I managed to cut. Okay, but first I have to remove the bolts. So the ones in each corner. I did it to these two, and just got to get those two. I won't bore you with this. Okay, so I just drilled these holes a little bit larger than the bolts that come with it, and I didn't bother filming the fitting and everything. It was just awkward, and there was maybe a little bit of swearing, but now I'll bolt them in. we screw in the bolts. Okay, so I've bolted it all in, and yeah, that was fun. I've just found some old caulking, and I'm just gonna do some seals now, which won't be pretty. The center is it's a bit gappy, so I've got to seal that. I'm going to, because I might as well, just going to seal the gap on the inside. Ugly. And then back in there. So I might I'll just save the rest of the silicone for sealing up the the hood that I'm using, and then I'll come back and just get all around there. It's not a big deal, but I will just wait a second. So I've got the hood, and I'm just going to spread my caulk on it. I love how Americans pronounce this stuff. In Australia we say caulking. In America it sounds like something else. Caulking. It's not your fault you can't talk English. This is kind of overkill and unnecessary, but I'm doing it just because I had some old caulk. You know, if you look at the front and back of this table saw, there's massive gaps. So, but I do have a little thing that I use to hold it up a little bit. Okie dokie. I've got some screws here. Okay, so recall that I marked which end the label goes on, which is here. Here's my full hood covered in caulk. And that just sticks there by itself, but I'll get my drill. Decently aligned. So I won't bother showing you the rest of it. But I'm just going to drill more of this and we'll carry on. So all done, all lined up nice. They're roughly caulked around. And now I'm just going to add some plumbing to all this. But I also have to add a full bit of plywood here, or you know, some sort of wood here, so I can put an exhaust here so I can fit this to it. We'll get to that. Okay, so I just measured this triangle with a flat top, and then I marked it on here. It was about 22.5 high by about 23.75 wide at the bottom and 15.25 at the top. So now we'll just cut this out. I'll do this cut on the table saw, and then I'll do these on the bandsaw. Okay, all bolted to the face. Now I just have to fit some of this. Okay, so here we are the next day. I had to stop because my phone ran out of storage, so I actually just carried on and continued and finished the job, but I can show you what went on just after. So I think I was talking about putting in this port. So I just caulked that up, put a couple of screws in, and attached this pipe to the I don't know, whatever you call the main kind of port. I also built or cut this piece of plywood just to vaguely hole up that entire hole. There's still holes there, but you know, it'll stop a bit of suction loss. I just put another piece of plywood there because I knew if I left it open there'd be sawdust coming in from my drum sander. So here is the outside, and it's if you buy this connector with this connector, it all fits in nicely, and my bandsaw and a few other tools have this, so I can just chop and change it with whenever I'm using it. You can see inside. The only other thing that's invisible is I put a bit of PVC pipe. There's about 2.5 inches in there, just linking the gap between this port and the other port. I might have. No, I can't reach it, but it's just a piece of black pipe, plumbing pipe. You'll probably see the start of it there and up there. And then I just caulked around here and put 8 screws in that. So it works very well now. I just vaguely duct taped any other holes that I could find. There's still a little one in here, but you know, just any pressure or any hole you lose suction. I could even tape up or caulk in here. And this, I made a thine baffle for this, and this is a Harbour Freight dust extractor that's been modified, but I won't go into that. It's another video. But, yeah, this is a 1 micron, half a micron filter, and it's running nicely. So yeah, I think it took me a couple of good hours, but it is worth it. I'm just sick of breathing in dust, and here's my bandsaw, and that has a similar. This is the same, accepts the same connector as the table saw, so this thing just connects onto that. And my drum sander, which even though it has this, the dust extraction still is horrible on this. But that's another Dust Right product. So when I'm cracking along, that goes on there. This also has one there. That's when I'm sanding here. This 12-inch disc sander has one here, and there's another one here that connects to my spin disc sander. So that is about all I've got to show and tell for sanding, but I hope that was of some enjoyment. I just put some bolts on these things. There's some existing bolt holes, so I just hang those things off. Those are freaking heavy. Yeah, happy woodworking and stay safe. Bye.